Professor Tribe, before we get your reaction to Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's debut on the Supreme Court, can we ask you to detangle the threads for us in the now 2 tracks of appeals in the case of Donald J. Trump versus United States of America, with Donald Trump appealing directly to the United States Supreme Court, while the Justice Department has an expedited appeal now moving in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals?
Well, I couldn't blame people for being a bit confused. So just to go back to the origin of all this, it was a search and seizure that was pursuant to a search warrant that was issued by Judge Reinhart, and not a word in anything that has been filed in court by the Trump lawyers suggests anything illegal about that search and seizure, or that any of the things that were searched and seized can't be used. So all the rest is sort of dancing around the edges and counting angels on the head of a pin. The Trump lawyers did manage to get this Judge Cannon, who's from left field, to basically toss a hand grenade into the proceedings by issuing an order in early September saying that there would be a special master and he would go over all these documents. And in the meantime, the documents that were seized could be used only to protect national security, but not to conduct a criminal investigation. That made no sense. And the 11th Circuit made fast work of it in an opinion that basically said, without actually ordering her to get off the case, basically said that she has no business being there. That decision is being challenged only in limited part in the U.S. Supreme Court in a filing that was made on the eve of Yom Kippur last night. The only thing that the president now is trying to say is that even though it's, he's not asking the Supreme Court to undo the decision of the 11th Circuit that the criminal investigation can go on. That's what he really wanted to stop. He's simply asking them to undo the part of their order that said the classified documents shouldn't be reviewed for claims of privilege by the special master, Judge Dearie. But Judge Dearie has already said he doesn't even need to see them because based on everything in his court, he knows that those documents belong to the government. They're not privileged. They are not protected. So that's just a sideshow. The real dispute is the dispute in the 11th Circuit, which, as you pointed out, the 11th Circuit decided to hear on an extraordinarily expedited basis. It turned down the attempt by Donald Trump to slow things down. And in that court, the Department of Justice is appealing the entire intervention by Judge Cannon, saying she had no jurisdiction, no business interfering, no business appointing a special master. And the arguments for that are pretty close to slam dunk. So it really looks like, just as we've already seen, even judges appointed by Trump don't buy his crazy arguments. It looks like this is a tempest in a teapot. And it looks like once the special master is removed from the case, which I think is going to happen sooner rather than later, they'll be ready to indict Donald Trump for obstruction of justice and for mishandling and, in fact, stealing highly classified documents and then keeping them in an insecure place in violation of, among other things, the Espionage Act. So seeing all of that coming down, he does what he usually does, and that is try to sort of kick up some dust and throw some sand in the gears. But in the end, these gears are moving forward, whether he likes it or not.
Should people be concerned that Justice Clarence Thomas is the point person for the Supreme Court on this filing that Donald Trump made directly to the Supreme Court?
Well, as it happens, he is the circuit justice for the 11th Circuit. But whatever else you may think of him, he simply doesn't have the power as a solo justice to interfere with this criminal investigation. If he is inclined, I mean, so far he's insisting that the briefing go quickly and in setting a deadline of next Tuesday at 5 p.m. for the response brief. he's acting in a perfectly judicious way. Before he actually did anything to favor Donald Trump, he would surely have to go to the full court. And I see no reason to think that the court is going to do Trump any special favors here. His arguments are just empty.